Hello, DV here, back with another episode of Ironsworn, the Playing God Apothecary playthrough with Dog of Valemark. Last episode we were on our journey through the Trials of the Light, and we reached the apex of our delve, only to find a bear to be the final challenge. Whether that bear was brought here by the Lord of the Light as a challenge, or if the bear just happened to take refuge here in this secluded shrine is up for debate. But we only have 3 health. The bear is a formidable foe, which means that they do 3 harm to me every time they hit me. Which is not good, considering I only have 3 harm left, 3 health left. And I only do 1 progress per harm, which I only do 1 harm if I use my long arm ability. So, I don't... Well, let's just let the moves decide if he sees me yet or not. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go enter the fray first to see if... Can I secure an advantage before I do enter the fray? Let's see. It gives me momentum. Okay. So I think I have to enter the fray first and then secure the advantage. So that's what I'm going to do. Enter the fray. I'm going to use Shadow to sneak up on him. And let's see if I can do this. Please start off strong. 6 versus a 5 and a 2. A strong hit. Take 2 momentum. And I have initiative. That puts me at 10. Fantastic. I don't even think I need to secure an advantage, because if I secure an advantage, that would be a strong hit. Oh, but I could take control. Okay, I think I'll do that. Alright, so I'm going to try to... The bear seems to be taking a little nap in the sun that breaks through the ceiling of this shrine. And the sunlight shines directly on the iron pillar. And the bear is wrapped around that iron pillar like a big old pillow, and he seems to be asleep at this moment. And so I sneak oh so carefully up towards him to see if I can stun him and get a drop on him with my staff. A quarterstaff is a very poor weapon against something as powerful as a bear. And so this may be very interesting indeed. But if I use secure an advantage with my staff, I can stun my foe, I can use +1, and take 1 momentum on a hit. So I get to add +1 to my secure an advantage roll. And, well, let's just see what we get. A 6 versus a 2 and a 6, that's a weak hit. My advantage is short-lived. Take 1 momentum. I'm not going to burn momentum just to take more momentum. I was hoping I would get to add +1 to my next roll, but I don't. So I sneak up to him. He's sleeping, and I raise my staff over my head, and I hit him on top of the head. He just basically like raises his head up and gives a mighty roar, and Dog stumbles backward, surprised at how ineffectual his strike was. Though, is he surprised? Probably not. We do have advantage still, but now the bear is awake and we have to begin our strike. I do get to add +1 on my strike. We are going to strike the bear. Come on, with edge and hopefully get a hit. We got an 11 versus a 6 and a 5. That's a strong hit. Inflict 1 harm, and I retain initiative. So the bear, despite being unharmed by my initial blow, while he's still readying himself, I slap him in the face with that staff, and I can tell this time that he did not like it. It did, in fact, hurt the bear, and he roars in anger, and he stands up on his hind legs, and he swings his paws around trying to intimidate me, and it is intimidating, but I don't shy from the fight. I move forward and I try to stab him in the foot with the staff, hopefully to get him on his back foot once again so that he is no longer standing and quite as formidable. Maybe I can get a headshot if he's down lower. I roll to strike and I get a 10 versus or an 11 versus a 1 and a 1. That's a strong with a positive twist. I inflict another harm and retain the initiative, and something wonderful happens. What could be that thing that happens? I don't know. Let's see if we can get some sort of help from the Oracle. What happens that a true identity is revealed? True identity is revealed. Interesting. I'll keep that in my pocket. True identity is revealed. Okay, I'll retain the initiative. I strike him on the foot. He lets out a howl of pain, and we do our harm. And I continue to push the advantage, and I strike once again, rolling an 8 versus a 2 and a 7. That's another strong hit. We are wailing on this bear every chance I get. He is completely taken unawares, and we are slapping him around with that quarterstaff, our hands moving in a blur as we continue to play around his defenses with our staff, slapping aside his attacks, dodging them deftly, and striking back each time. I am using every bit of my skill to try to defeat this bear, and I strike out once again. A 1. Oh no, don't roll a 1. It's a 6 versus a 6 and an 8. It's a miss. But I'm going to burn my momentum. I'll burn my momentum and get a strong hit. Inflict 1 harm, you retain initiative, and I gain one momentum from our long arm ability. So, that was a close one. He takes a mighty swipe with me, and I just barely dodge underneath it, and then stick my staff deep into his belly, and he lets out another howl, and now I'm down to 3 momentum, and we still have the initiative. We continue to press our advantage. I roll another attack, 8 versus a 1 and a 4. I inflict another harm, and I continue to retain the initiative. I am slapping him all over his body with this quarterstaff, doing everything I can to keep him from literally tearing me to pieces. And so far, we have been successful. And now we roll again to try to attack further. We get a 7 versus a 4 and a 9. That is a weak hit. We still gain the momentum from that with our long arm ability. We inflict our harm, however, he now gets to begin his attack in earnest. So we become a little bit overconfident as we continually strike this bear over and over, just slapping him around, and finally he is able to shoulder us aside with his bulky mass, and now we stumble back from his shoulder charge, and now he rears forward with his claws, and we have to clash. We are on the defensive, and we're going to use edge. We still get a +1 on clash. We got an 11 versus a 9 and 8. Another strong hit, another momentum. Despite his strike and his initiative, we are able to take 1 momentum or 1 harm. I got my momentum from my long arm. I'm going to do the harm because I think we need to be able to finish this bear sooner rather than later. So lucky. We are back in the initiative, and we are able to push him away with our staff and continue to rain blows down upon him. With a 9 versus a 3 and a 7, that's another strong hit, another momentum, and another harm, and we retain initiative. Now up to 8 harm. Dare I try to finish the fight? No, let's press forward. Let's try to finish this bear. We got an 11 versus a 3 and a 3, and another strong with a positive twist. We inflict another harm, gain another momentum, and he is up to 9 progress. We got a strong with a positive twist. I'm going to add my +1 from this positive twist because the bear is staggered. We're going to try to end the fight with a +1 from that positive twist. The bear is staggered. That puts me to a 10. We roll a 5 and a 9. It's a strong hit. We hit the bear squarely in the jaw. It howls in pain and finally decides it will abandon this fight, and it runs from the shrine, howling in anger and in pain, and runs down the cliff away from us, its agitator, and we have successfully defeated the bear. That was surprisingly easy. I mean, we didn't have a lot of trouble with it. That long arm is super powerful. Super powerful. Okay. So we stand there huffing and puffing and exhausted from that fight. The bear is gone. And we notice that this shrine is shrouded in sunlight. And we hear a voice in our head. A voice so full of power that it overwhelms us. We are driven to our knees by the power of this voice. And it says,
"Well done, dog. Well done. You have defeated the last of your enemies in the trial of the light. Now, place your hands in the light on the pillar and feel my power as it consumes who you were and invigorates who you will be."
And so we move forward almost in a trance. We're kind of crawling on our hands and knees because the power of that voice is so strong. And we reach up with our hands and we place our hands onto the pillar. And we are going to act with strength. Or should I do courage? I feel like it's probably courage. We place our hands on the sides of this pillar and we hang on for dear life as the powers consume us. We roll a 3 versus a 2 and a 7. That's a weak hit. You succeed but face a troublesome cost. Choose one. You are delayed, lose advantage. You're tired or hurt, endure 1 harm. You're dispirited or afraid, endure 1 stress. Or you sacrifice resources, endure 1 supply. I feel like it's probably going to be harm because the powers that suffuse us feels like it's burning away who we once were and consuming us. The fires of this light is all we can see is flame and light as it burns through our entire body and consumes who we were, and we are reborn into Dog, the child of the light, and we fulfill the last part of our progress of the trials of the light, and now we are ready to fulfill our vow. Yes, I hope so. Okay, trial of the light. Let's choose it. We have 10 progress on it. We're going to roll 10 versus a 4 and a 7. It's a strong hit. Your quest is complete. Mark experience. Formidable is 3. That's perfect because now we're going to gain a new power from the Lord of the Light. All right, so we're going to choose a new asset. Something that we gain from the Lord of the Light. What will it be? Could be a companion. Perhaps he sends a hawk down and it becomes our companion. Or perhaps we get a mystic power. Let's take a look at the mystic powers and see what we have there. Oh, this sounds interesting. You invoke. You consume the mystical essence of your surroundings and roll plus wits. On a strong hit, add the value of your action die to your essence track. You may then secure an advantage or face danger plus essence to create minor mystical effects. Oh. If I do, I suffer 1 essence and take +1 momentum. Okay. Could cause me stress if I get a weak hit. Interesting. I kind of like this. Invoke. What else do we have? Oh, look at this. Lightbearer. Focus on a source of light and capture its essence. Roll wits. On a strong hit, set your light track to +6. On a weak hit, make it +3. Then when you make a move to overcome or navigate darkness, you may add +2 and suffer -1 light. Oh, wow. You may use your light to strike or clash against a dark-dwelling foe. Wow, that sounds really cool. I'm thinking either Lightbearer or Invoke. I like both of those quite a bit. Let's just let the Oracle decide. Which power does the Lord of the Light grant me with? I'm going to say, does he grant me the Invoke power? If yes, then I get Invoke. If no, then I get Lightbearer. No. Okay, so I get Lightbearer. Alright, so now I have the Lightbearer asset. My only skill within it is when I focus on a source of light and capture its essence. Roll plus wits. I'm going to do that right now. But first I need to add Lightbearer to this. These are not in alphabetical order. Okay. And I get the first ability there. Here's my resource track. Oh, cool. It adds the light resource track. That's fantastic. Okay, so first I need to read the thing again. Focus on a source of light and capture its essence. Roll plus wits. On a strong hit, set your light track to +6. On a weak hit, +3, and then endure stress. No, on a weak hit. Okay. That's on this. If I use that was for the invoke. Invoke, and made me endure stress. Okay, so in this one, there's no negative. You just don't get quite as much benefit from looking into the sun. All right, so I'm gonna look at the sun. I'm gonna roll wits, and let's see. I need to do a manual roll. Manual roll. Yes, I need to roll wits. All right, here we go. We're rolling wits. I rolled an 8 versus a 1 and 2. Strong hit. We get 6 light. So I look up at the sun, and of course it suffuses me with warmth, and I hold out my hands and I can feel the light entering my body, and I can store it and use it when it is most needed. I can use it when I make a move to overcome or navigate darkness. I may add +2 and suffer -1 light. Man, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Okay, I have completed the Trial of the Light. Let's vow, and that is completed. Bink. And let's go ahead and mark that complete. And now I would say I'd just make it back to the town, but we're too far away to do a simple montage of making it back. So I'm not gonna delve my way back. I'm just gonna undertake a journey, and we're gonna travel back first to Mel's cave, and hopefully do so with haste and rest and recover there. So I'm going to add +1 to that from my long arm when I undertake a journey. Take +1 momentum. Oh no, I don't get to add +1. Okay. I can take +1 momentum on a strong hit. Just a strong hit? Yeah. Alright, so we're going to roll our undertake a journey here. And I don't get to take anything as a bonus. We're just going to roll. Oh. The worst of the worst. I'm waylaid by a perilous event. I rolled a 9. A great roll. A 9. But the challenge dice were double 10s. No, the dice gods hate me. I'm waylaid by a perilous event. I tell you what I'm tempted by. The first thing that popped into my head was the bear. The bear comes back for vengeance. But I think it's not going to be the bear. I think it's going to be Leela. And she's not alone. I think I'm making my way back down from the mountains. And Leela and a few zealots are waiting for me when I come to that rope bridge. They are standing at the other end of the bridge. And they are going to try to stop me from escaping this place. Her honor was deflated, based on how easily I defeated her. And she swore vengeance on me. And so she befriended a few of these Children of the Light zealots who, quite frankly, didn't pass the trials, but are still zealots in the name of the Lord of the Light. And she has convinced them that I am evil, which they're already crazy, so of course that works. And so now I have to face these numerous foes. And even though the bear would have been formidable, I'm going to make this a formidable. That way I'm not just taking it easy on myself. It is a double 10 after all. So we are going to face up against Leela and a few of these zealots. Okay, Leela and the zealots are here for vengeance. So it's Leela, the warrior, and we'll say 2 zealots. That is a formidable. Sure it is. A warrior is dangerous by themselves, right? Yes. We determined that she was weakened, but perhaps she is invigorated by her defeat. Back up to dangerous. So now I do 1 progress per harm, and she inflicts 2 harm on me. Zealots only inflict 1 harm, so that's good. But together they form a formidable foe. And so the first thing that is going to happen is we are going to enter the fray. Okay. Let's do that. Here. There we go. Okay, enter the fray. Roll to determine who is in control. So I'm just going to face off against the foe. They are waiting. Oh, actually, I have to roll wits because they're ambushing me. So here we go. And of course, a 6 versus a 6 and a 7 is a weak hit. I mean, a miss. I could burn momentum and get a weak hit. Otherwise, I have to pay the price straight away, and my foe has initiative. Dare I? Because I'm going to need that momentum probably to finish this fight. I could say that I'm disheartened that she has. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to pay the price, and I'm going to be on the defensive. I am disheartened by the fact that Leela has fallen from the grace of the Lord of the Light, and I'm going to take 2 stress from that. And I'm going to suffer, though. I'm going to endure stress, and I can either roll heart or spirit, whichever is higher. They're both, or our spirit's higher, so I'm going to roll it to see if I can shake it off. I press on. Roll a 6 versus a 2 and a 7, a weak hit. Okay, so I still took 2 spirit. Okay, so we are in the fight, but first I'm going to try to compel her. I'm going to try to bring her to her senses. She doesn't have to do this. I have gotten my blessing from the Lord of the Light. She's in the wrong. I'm going to try to charm, pacify, or convince her by using heart. I do not have a bond with them. This is a low chance for me, but I'm gonna take it. I don't want to have to fight her. Oh my god. I got an 8 versus a 4 and a 2. It's a strong hit. They'll do what you want or share what they know. Take +1 momentum. If you use this exchange to gather information, make that move now and add +1. So I implore her. I said, please, Leela, understand that that was an honorable duel between us. I have succeeded in my oaths to the Lord of the Light, and I hold up my hand. And you can see the light infusing my hand and giving off light. And Leela is stirred by the sight of that. And she too holds up her hand, and it too is suffused with light. And she begins to weep with how that she had let darkness enter her heart, and she no longer wants vengeance against me. But the zealots, they have other plans. They scream out, "Defiler!" And one of them begins to attack Leela, and the other rushes across the bridge to attack me. And we're going to decrease this from formidable to dangerous. And now we are still on the defensive, but Leela is attacking that one zealot. He has a long sword and he is armored. The other zealot is running towards me, also is armored and has a long sword. And he is in control, unfortunately. I could try to drop the bridge, but then how would I get across? So I'm just going to hold the end of the bridge against his rush and try to stop him. I'm going to try to secure an advantage, in fact, and see if I can use my staff as he rushes forward to try to trip him or shove him back. And I think I get, if I do so, I get to add +1 and take 1 momentum on the hit. So I do get to add +1 on this secure an advantage. And I'm going to roll. I get an 8 versus a 7 and a 6, a strong hit. I gain advantage. I'm now in the initiative. Choose one, take control, make a move now. When you do, add +1, or prepare to act, add 2 momentum. I'm going to take 2 momentum. And now I'm going to reach out with my staff and strike. I get to add +1 with my strike move against him as he rushes forward. I strike him with my staff. He stumbles back and I move forward to strike again. And I roll a 9 versus a 6 and a 9. Oh, it's a weak hit. I do have 10 momentum. I could still burn it. I think I will. I inflict 1 harm and I retain the initiative. I'm going to do it. Meanwhile, Leela is in a sword fight for her life. I'm just going to let the Oracle decide her portion of the combat and if she gets to do harm as well. So does Leela get a hit? We're just going to call it 50-50 on her zealot. No. Okay. So unfortunately, Leela is she may suffer harm as well. Oh, okay. I don't have Leela as companion, so technically this is not supposed to. I'm gonna temporarily add her as a companion, not to keep her with me forever, but just so we can track this combat. Normally, I think we wouldn't even track it. Like, we'll just say that. Yeah, I would like to track her health in some way. Kindred? Yes. Okay. So we'll say she did take 1 harm here. This is Leela. Okay. So I'm not going to gain any abilities from her or anything like that. But I just wanted to track her health. So Leela is going to be in the battle with her zealot as well as me. And maybe I can defeat mine sooner rather than later. And do that. But yeah, so I strike the zealot, and then I press my advantage, and okay, so I'll have to endure harm when I get down to 0. Okay, that's fine. We're going to press our advantage, and we are going to strike with +1 from our long arm. We got a 10 versus a 5 and 8. That's a strong hit. I did burn my momentum, so we are down to 3. And now we're back up to 4. So that's good. We inflict 1 harm and retain initiative. That 4 is from our long arm. We inflict our harm on the zealot. And we're going to roll for Leela. What happens in her battle? Does she harm the zealot? No, she does not. She is harmed once again. She is not faring well against the swordsman who is facing her. I take note of how poorly she is faring against her foe, and I redouble my efforts to strike further and finish my foe as fast as possible so I can go and assist her. I rolled a 10 versus a 5 and a 1. That's a strong hit. That's a +1 momentum and another harm. And so I hit him over the head with my staff. He stumbles and falls over the ropes of the bridge and into the canyon far, far below. Is Leela successful in her attack? Yes, she is. She hits her foe likewise, and we get 2 more there. I rush up to the remaining zealot. She's on one side of him now. I am flanking him. I roll my attack. I get a 7 versus a 3 and a 6. That puts me up to a 6 momentum. And we get to add another there. And does she get a hit in? No, she does not. She is down to 1 health now. And so now it is time for me to end the fight with these guys. I'm going to roll. I got an 11 versus a 1 and a 3. Whoops, no, not an 11. A 10 versus a 1 and a 3. That's a strong hit. I club the guy several times, and Leela finishes him with a sword strike into the belly. He doubles over as his life spills from his wounds, and the battle is complete. Once the foe falls to the ground, I note that Leela has several injuries that she has taken, and I move to try to heal her wounds to the best of my ability. And let's see what benefits I get from my heal. When you heal a companion, ally, or other character and score a hit, take +1 spirit or 1 momentum. Okay. Alright. And I can also add +2 to it with that herbalist skill. Okay. I'll roll a 7 versus a 3 and a 5. I can give her 2 health. That's fantastic. And so I apply bandages and salves to her wounds, and she begins to stabilize and feel like she can at least make it back to her homestead on her own. And so Leela, I think, will be a bit of a bond. Should I try to forge a bond with her? Yes, I think I will. Okay, I think I'm going to forge a bond with her. And so I'm going to roll. Whew. 3 versus a 5 and a 9. I can burn momentum, but I am refused. While she welcomes my help, she cannot forget that shame that I gave her, and so she refuses the bond that I sought with her, and my spirit decreases by 1. She bids me farewell, and she walks back down to where her homestead is, not inviting me to go along with her. So I am going to finish my journey now. I'm going to reach my destination, which would be what's his name's cave, Mel's cave. Oh, I didn't start a thing, so I have to undertake a journey. It's just going to be a 1-row undertake a journey. Hopefully we don't get ambushed this time. And let's see what I get. 8 versus 8 and a 2. It's a weak hit. I reach a waypoint and mark progress, but suffer 1 supply. Okay, that works. So I have to use a lot of my provisions as I navigate through the cold areas of these hallowed passes, and use up a lot of my lamp fuel and my torches and things. I do have my own light, of course, but I finally make it to Mel's cave, and Mel is there. And so I'm going to sojourn there with Mel, and hopefully we can forge a bond and increase our bond there as well. But first, I'm going to sojourn there with him and hopefully renew my mind and spirit. So I'm going to roll heart. I am going to add +1 because we do have a small bond. And I'm going to roll. Dang! A 4 versus a 7 and 8. That's a miss. I find no help here. Pay the price. Ooh, what is the price that I pay? What is the price that I pay? The current situation worsens. So Mel and I are talking over the fire, and a sudden blizzard blows down from the mountains, and we basically are trapped in here in his cave with barely enough supply to renew ourselves. But now it is bitterly, bitterly cold, colder than we would have expected. And we must spend several days digging ourselves from this huge downfall of snow that has blocked the entrance to his cave there. And we don't get any real rest or recuperation. And so we do finally dig ourselves out, and I will try to see if that strengthens our bond or not. I don't get to add anything, so I'm going to roll. I got a 4 versus a 7 and 2. It's a weak hit. They ask something more of you first. Envision what it is. Ask the oracle and do it. Or swear an iron vow and mark the bond. If you decline or fail, pay the price. What do you need from me, my friend? What do you need from me? What do you need from me? It was all a diversion. While I was in the midst of our trial, Mel tells me that he got word from Axe Crag that Child Edda had established Keone as the lead mystic in Veilmark, but as proof of his dedication to me, they were going to put my grandparents on trial. And sentence them to death for their further insurrection against the Lord of the Light. And so, of course, I am going to swear vengeance. I can't swear vengeance again. I've already got vengeance against them for one thing. Is that too strong of a thing to happen from a forge a bond? It was all diversion. I mean, that kind of makes sense though, right? She distrusted Keone already, and she sent me off, probably expecting me to not succeed. And so I am going to, besides swearing vengeance, I'm going to change this vow because it's no longer swearing vengeance. I'm going to say, instill myself as leadership in the Children of the Light. There, that's a much better extreme quest. That's much better. Okay, so I'm going to become a leader to change the ways. Okay, that's fine. I'm not made any progress towards that, but I do think that I am going to have to swear a vow now to save my grandparents from the children. And sir, I'm going to have to swear another vow. I swear to my grandparents in front of Mel. And I do have a bond with my grandparents, so I'm going to add +1 to that. I swear to save them. So I rolled a 5 versus a 2 and a 3. It's a strong hit. Take 2 momentum. I'm emboldened, and it's clear what I must do next. I must make all haste back to Valemark and rescue my grandparents. So this is likely to be a very difficult vow to achieve. But I believe in me. Is it going to be formidable? Probably. Because, for one thing, I'm going to have to come against Keone, who I have a bond with. Childetta didn't really think I would become a child of the light at all. She probably thought I would run off and do my own thing, which I admit I considered doing. So if I can intercept them along the way from Valemark to Axcrag, then perhaps I can do that. So I am, of course, distraught as I'm digging out this avalanche that this is happening, and I can't even get to them as quickly as I would like. But I do thank Mel for delivering that news to me, and I wish him all the best, even if we don't get to form a bond together. I do thank him for all that he's done for me and showing me the truth about how the world works, so to speak. And so I will begin my journey to rescue my grandparents. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure and hit that like button and subscribe if you have not. If you want to see more of Dog of Valemark, the new Child of the Light, I'm no longer going to be called Dog of Valemark. I'm going to be called Child Dog of the Light. No, the Light Bearer. Because I'm now an official Child of the Light. According to the Lord of the Light, I am imbued with light. Okay, I will see you guys next time. Bye.